Are they preparing to make a splash, to bring in a big name player like that who's a little bit older that doesn't fit?
And Howie has said all off season. I mean, as soon as the season ended, again at the combine a couple weeks ago, that their goal is to build around Jalen Hurts.
Here, football fans, yes, NFL's two-year thing become official at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Players and the teams go to paper on agreements that have already been rendered. Eagles had a big move day one, a couple housekeeping moves day two. What are we going to get on day three? Let's find out from a guy who knows the team inside out. No fraud Delawarean to me.
That's a harsh word. I apologize. I should have went faux. That's what I was looking for, but I panicked. That's too harsh of a word. No, Martin just lives in Pennsylvania now, which is not, it's easier. Hey, got to get to the complex, got to get to the Wells Fargo Center. It's a little bit easier. By the way, Derek Gunn lives in Delaware. We got
sure does.
Yeah. So there you go.
Delaware all over the place today. Yeah. From your front door, time you put the key in the car, turn it over, drive as quickly as the law will allow. How long does it take you to get to Delaware from your house?
About 45 minutes.
Ooh, then you are a faux Delaware guy.
Delaware's like 45 minutes from anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too. It's like South Jersey. You can't, anywhere I'm going, it takes 25 minutes. So I might as well be in Delaware.
Well, see, when I grew up, that was Long Island. Then you can get anywhere in Long Island in 25 minutes. Baloney. Yeah. You want to go out to Montauk and take you 2.5 hours on a Friday during the weekend. What the hell are you talking about?
It's easier to get to Ohio
on the LA
than Long Island.
An hour and go like maybe a mile.
Yeah, it's far easier. You can go across the country before you can get to Long Island. Yeah. All right, enough travel talk. I apologize, Martin. So let's get it back on track. Martin Frank, DelawareOnline.com. So your latest piece, we're only 48 hours into this, and obviously today's the only first official day. Sure. Wink, wink. So, I mean, there's plenty of moves to be made, but, the Eagles haven't come out of the tampering period, so to speak, with a safety. I think we all thought that would be a significant target. Wide receiver as well. They tried to trade for Calvin Ridley. We know that now. They did get an edge rusher. Maybe when they spend money, they tend to spend it on the offensive and defensive line. So maybe we all missed the obvious, but your broader ranging question, does Howie Roseman have a plan? What do you think? Does he have a plan here, Martin? Is he just losing out on players?
Well, I mean, he probably does. I don't think they wanted to spend, top dollar for a guy like Marcus Williams, for example, at safety, or
we love
at wide receiver. I mean, they obviously.
Oh no, that was your. I thought your dog was creeping up over your shoulder.
Yeah, she was kind of hiding.
Now I'm really getting in trouble. See, that's bad eyesight. That's bad eyesight. I apologize again. Go ahead, Martin.
So they weren't going to spend like top dollar for guys. When teams like Jacksonville and the Jets and even the Colts have like all this money, free agency. I mean, they're just throwing around money like it's paper basically. And the Eagles weren't going to be able to compete with teams like that. You look at Christian Kirk getting an average annual value of about $18 million a year. Yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, the guy's never had a 1,000-yard receiving season. And that kind of like drives up the price for everybody else. I mean, you still have a couple guys out there in Allen Robinson and Juju Smith-Schuster, but those guys are probably going to get a decent amount too. And I don't know if the Eagles will be in on those guys too, unless, they wait it out and their value drops and maybe they take a 1-year deal. But, doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. I mean, they're probably going to get like these lower tier guys, a veteran wide receiver, someone like maybe Zach Pascal from the Colts, who, Nick Sirianni's pretty familiar with. And, he's a good slot receiver. He's a veteran. He knows the offense and everything like that. So, and then go in the draft. I mean, they get the 3 first-round picks. There's a good crop of wide receivers. They can get a safety in the, maybe second round, first round, something like that. I mean, they can address some of those needs that they didn't necessarily address in free agency.
Let me ask you about Juju, because he's an interesting take.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought he'd be a good fit for the Eagles. The Eagles inquired on him last year, kind of like Hassan Reddick, who I wanted to see the Eagles get last year. They didn't. They got him a year later, and I'm still ecstatic about it, but I would have taken him last year. Same thing with Juju Smith-Schuster. And Eagles inquired last year. He decided to go back to Pittsburgh. No more Ben Roethlisberger. Maybe Pittsburgh is less attractive to him, and he's more willing to spread his wings and fly, maybe to Philadelphia. But there are mixed reports that maybe the Eagles' interest in him isn't what it was reported to be, that this isn't a priority for them, or at least he isn't a priority for them. He seems to make a lot of sense. One of John and my favorite phrases, checks boxes. He does a lot of that for a fit with the Philadelphia Eagles. Why do you think, if it has, and these are all just reports, Howie Roseman hasn't come out and said, yeah, we're not as up on Juju Smith-Schuster as we used to be. If the reports are accurate, why do you think the Eagles were cooled on Juju?
I'm not sure they have cooled. I mean, this could be all gamesmanship on Howie's part, or someone from the Eagles, like, yeah, we don't think that much about him. We're not really interested. I mean, if he comes out and says, if they come out and say, yeah, he's somebody we were targeting, we really want, I mean, that drives up the price. Maybe somebody else says, hey, we're going to get him. Then, I think it's all, I mean, this time of year, agents and GMs and people like that, I mean, they've got their own agendas and stuff. And this could be something like, Howie's saying, yeah, we're going to cool on him. Maybe there won't be as much interest, and then kind of swoop in later on and, try to get him. So I wouldn't be, I mean, he would seem to be ideal for what the Eagles need. I mean, he's a tremendous slot receiver, very dependable, catches the ball. He had I think 111 catches a couple years ago, had 97, I want to say 2 years ago. I mean, he was hurt last year. I mean, he only played in the 5 games. So, obviously that's why he's not getting top dollar right now. But I mean, he's a guy who can definitely help the Eagles. I mean, that's definitely something they need. A dependable, really good slot receiver who can open things up for Devontae, Quez Watkins, and guys like that.
Martin, kind of shifting sides of the ball, the other obvious position is safety. Mm-hmm. And the safeties have come off. You mentioned Marcus Williams at the top of the list, but the dominoes have fallen from there. Jordan Whitehead, Jody's Jets, get him on a great deal. I thought that would have been a perfect Eagles deal for a younger player. For whatever, Marcus May's got a history with Denard Wilson, signs with the Saints. There's one guy out there, though, and it's not a typical Eagles signing because Tyrann Mathieu's a little bit older, a lot of tread on the tire, but he can still play. You're talking about an all-pro level safety. And last year, Jonathan Gannon would talk a lot about Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith this, Harrison Smith that. And he seems to want this movable piece who can move all over the field, sort of like Malcolm Jenkins did when he was here. Mathieu's that guy. Marcus Williams is a safety. He's going to play back. He's going to be covered. He's a safety. Are they preparing to make a splash, to bring in a big name player like that who's a little bit older, that doesn't fit sort of the normal Eagles thinking?
It's possible. I mean, you also have to weigh how many years do you want to give him, because if we're talking about Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be 30 years old.
30, yeah. He's played 9 years, I think. A lot of tread on the tire. But
right, so you have to kind of figure out what's a good contract for a guy like that. I mean, is some team going to say, oh, we'll give him 3 or 4 years anyway, we don't care, we want him that badly? I mean, that's not going to be the Eagles. but are they going to give him a 2-year deal? Are they going to give him a 1-year deal? You know, I guess what the Eagles have to figure out is, you know, for a guy who's 30 years old, can he still play, you know, 2-3 years down the road? Like, is he still going to be really good at 32, 33 years old? And I don't know if there's a history of safeties playing well into their 30s. I mean, you know, you look at guys like Malcolm Jenkins and obviously a guy who the Eagles fans are very familiar with, and Brian Dawkins. I mean, you know, the Eagles regretted letting Brian Dawkins go at the age of 30, and he played another 2-3 years. And, you know, Malcolm Jenkins is still going strong. I think he's like 32 or 33. But at the same time, like, you know, as they got older, they played more closer to the box. They were more like a hybrid type of linebacker. And you know, how many years out of Tyrann Mathieu are you going to get where he's the top safety? I mean, is it only going to be 1 more year? Is it going to be 2 more years? And then you have to figure out like what's an offer that works there for the money and, you know, makes him kind of like still effective. You know, it's a balancing act. And I think, you know, there's going to be a team that's probably going to overpay and say, we don't care. We're going to give him 3 years and top dollar and everything like that. And I don't think that team will be the Eagles, but, you know, it's possible there could be a team that does that.
Martin, all right, so the Eagles haven't quite moved the needle yet at safety, a positional need that they haven't been able to come up with a deal, not panic, but a raised eyebrow. Well, at least they took care of the needed cornerback. They went out and got a corner. Oh, no, they haven't done that yet either. They needed to get some veteran upgrades, if not significant upgrades at all the defensive back positions that aren't being held by Darius Slay as of right now. No corner maneuvering either. Again, slight concern. Hey, Jody, it's day 3. How do you look at the fact that they haven't gotten either a safety or a corner to this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's concerning. But remember, they do have 3 guys, their own free agents. They have Steve Nelson, who did a good job last year. They have Anthony Harris. They have Rodney McLeod. All those guys are free agents, and they could all leave, but those guys haven't left yet. I mean, obviously, I mean, they could bring back one of those guys. Like, if you bring back Steven Nelson on a 1-year deal, or actually, it'd probably take more than a 1-year deal considering how he played last year, but you bring Steven Nelson back, all of a sudden your cornerback situation is pretty much solved. You can add somebody in the draft. You can work in some of the younger guys. You know, they did trade for 2 guys last fall who were rookies last year that they're pretty high on. Maybe those guys get a chance to back up. So you get Steven Nelson back, you're in pretty good shape. Or if you let Steven Nelson go and you bring back either Harris or McLeod, then all of a sudden safety isn't as big a concern. Because I think they were going to start Marcus Epps anyway. I mean, he was rotating in last year with those 2 guys anyway. So, you know, you figure Epps is going to be a starter. You bring back one of those 2 guys, you know, you got your starters for next year. You know, you also have Kayvon Wallace. You can also draft a guy. So you'd have pretty good depth if you did that. And I think of those 3, I mean, I think one of them probably will come back. And that'll address one of the needs, and then you just have to figure out a way to address the other.
All right, let's say we'll go safety first. Let's say they bring back Rodney McLeod on a 1-year deal again, and team him with Epsy as the safeties. Are you good with that? Is that good enough at safety in the modern NFL?
I think it's good enough for what the Eagles are doing. I think they still need to add something. I mean, I think they still need to get, you know, draft someone, or if they're really high on Kayvon Wallace, you know, I think they need to work a 3rd guy in there. I mean, they definitely need a little bit more depth, but I think like starting Rodney McLeod, you know, he was pretty good last year coming off the torn ACL. I mean, it took him a little while, but to get back into it and everything like that. But I think he can, you know, a year removed and stuff, I think he can still give you one more pretty solid year. You would need a 3rd guy, obviously, to work in with them. And I think that's possible. You can still add that in the draft. And I think it's not going to be like strength per se, but I think they'd be good enough to be competitive back there. So yeah, I think that could possibly work if it's McLeod or if it's Anthony Harris, one of those two guys.
All right, Martin, even though this is a bit of a layup question, it's a significant question just the same. Which doesn't belong and why? New Orleans Saints, Cleveland Browns, Carolina Panthers, Philadelphia Eagles. Which doesn't belong and why?
Whew. Yeah, I don't see it happening with the Eagles. If you're talking about Deshaun Watson, the team.
I'm not talking about Deshaun Watson. I'm talking about the fact that one team out of that group of four made the playoffs last year, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. The other three did not. Yet the other three, like a meeting with the Pope, have gotten a chance to meet with Deshaun Watson, and the Philadelphia Eagles have not. Why is that the case, Martin Frank?
Well, because he obviously doesn't want to come here. I mean, and maybe the Eagles don't want him to come here.
Joe Banner still thinks he's coming here. But, you know, it is interesting. Forget about, you know, what the Eagles want, what Deshaun Watson wants. You know, it's like Oprah Winfrey. Everybody's getting a meeting. Jody said it's the Pope. It's the exact opposite. I think the Calgary Stampeders are getting a meeting today. So
not the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
Everybody's getting a meeting but the Philadelphia Eagles. Somebody explain that to me.
Yeah. So that's the point, Martin. Why is all of a sudden Deshaun Watson has opened up his eyes and said, all right, I'll consider other teams. And we know the Eagles' history. And we know they do their due diligence on everybody. They already did their due diligence on Deshaun Watson to a certain extent. So why does it stop now and that the Eagles aren't pressing for this meeting? Does it say something about their perceived love of Jalen Hurts? Because this goes against every Eagles ethos about needing the superstar quarterback. This guy's never available. And obviously he's available for horrible reasons. And, you know, there's 26-year-old superstar quarterbacks don't come on the market. The Eagles, 99.99% of the time, are going to be in that mix. Why are they not pushing harder? Is it just a PR thing to try to straddle the fence with Jalen Hurts to not create what Cleveland did with Baker Mayfield yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Eagles did their due diligence a year ago. We don't know what their due diligence was. Like, we don't know. Do they come away and say, no, we're not going to go anywhere near this guy. We're not going to take the PR hit. We're not going to, I mean, you know, who knows what comes of the civil suits? Who knows? You know, maybe they found something that, you know, like, no, we can't go anywhere near this guy. It's an interesting dilemma because, like you said, he's got all the traits that you would want. A 26-year-old guy, you know, probably top 5, top 6 or 7 NFL quarterback, a guy who can make a difference for you. But at the same time, there's a lot of baggage. And also you have to look at it from this point of view. If they go out and they trade for Deshaun Watson, his salary cap figure is going to keep the Eagles from doing anything else. I mean, I don't know, like if they get him, they would have to make some, you know, release some players and everything to get back under the cap, right? Because they just signed.
Yeah, they'd have to do some maneuvering.
Reddick. I mean, they'd have to do something. I mean, I don't think they could just automatically fit him into their cap right now because they already signed Reddick. So that changes things a little bit. You know, and Howie has said all off season. I mean, you know, as soon as the season ended, again at the combine a couple of weeks ago, that, you know, their goal is to build around Jalen Hurts. You know, they need to add some pieces. They need to get better players and stuff around him. And they think, you know, if it works out in 2022 and Hurts has a good year, then, you know, they're pretty much set. I mean, Hurts is on his rookie contract. He's only counting like $1.6 million against the cap. I mean, that's a huge difference from.
Well, then I would say to Howie, Martin, go add something then. Go ahead, go get a receiver. Go
know that's
build
what he
around
said.
Jalen Hurts.
And he'd say, "Yeah, I got Hassan Reddick. I mean, I got a pass rusher and everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
which does help.
That doesn't help Jalen Hurts, but
let me take it in this direction. If we're all surprised, then word comes out later today that the Eagles too are going to get some key individuals. They're going to get on a plane and immediately get down to Houston and have a meeting with Deshaun Watson. If that does transpire, does Jalen Hurts take to social media and thank the Philadelphia fans for his year and a half that he's had here in Philadelphia?
He's going to take Eagles off his Twitter profile that he never had on his Twitter profile.
So you think he'd go more along the lines of Kyler Murray than Baker Mayfield, who goes to social media to profess his love to Cleveland? Oh, I loved you, Cleveland, but looks like we're parting ways. Do you think that the current Eagle quarterback would go that way?
I think it's pretty safe to say that we know Jalen Hurts at all. He's not going to do anything like that. I mean, he goes out there and he competes, and he'll probably look at it like if they end up getting Deshaun Watson and he's still on the team. I mean, I would assume he would go in that trade, but let's say for some reason he doesn't. I mean, he'd probably look at it like, hey, I'm going to compete for the starting quarterback job, and if Deshaun Watson wins it, congratulations to him. I mean, he's not going to rock the boat and say, oh, thank you, Philadelphia. I've had a great year and a half. And, but I'm not, I think Jalen Hurts is the kind of guy, humble enough and everything like that. He's not going to rock the boat or anything like that. And I think that's why his teammates love him. I mean, to a man, they rave about him as a leader. I mean, even Jason Kelsey, I mean, I would think if he didn't like Jalen Hurts, he would have retired. I mean, he would have drank in his keg of beer and set off into the sunset, but I think he's, and a lot of guys feel that way about him. I mean, he's a really good leader. He's someone who's only 23 years old and can get better. I mean, that's the thing. You look at Carson Wentz, for example, everyone said, oh yeah, he had a pretty good year. He completed 62% of his passes and all that, which is fine. But I mean, that's as good as Carson Wentz is going to get. I mean, we know that now. He's been in the league 5 or 6 years. We've seen bad Carson Wentz, and good Carson Wentz is as good as probably he's going to be as he was last year and everything. So, Jalen Hurts, he hasn't really hit his ceiling yet, and he can get better. And if he doesn't, then the Eagles can move on in 2023. It's not a situation where they desperately need a quarterback right now. They kind of have one that they like, and if he gets better, great. And if he doesn't, then they'll find someone.
All right, I want to forget about the names for a second, Martin. I want you to put on your Howie Roseman hat or your Jeffrey Lurie hat or both and morph into both. Do you, as you mentioned, they've been very public, a lot of votes of confidence for Jalen Hurts as the future of this team. A lot of people you mentioned, very cost effective in the short term, $1.6 million for this year. You see the numbers around the NFL exploding as a whole, but specifically at the quarterback position. I've asked this question of a lot of people. Jody's heard it a number of times. By this time next year, if Jalen Hurts plays the same he does or gets a little bit better, he's going to be in line to get paid $30 million minimum on an extension. Do you think this team would be willing to go to that level, which is medium pay for a quarterback, especially next year with the cap spiking further because the new TV deals will kick in? That's going to be the cost of doing business for a middle of the road quarterback in the NFL. No more $1.6 million. What are we doing here? That's why I say, isn't there a sense of urgency maybe bigger than people realize at that particular position, especially, Martin, because you have the 3 first-round picks, which is not a common occurrence?
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what puts this season kind of in a sense of urgency right now to add the pieces that you still can while he's on his rookie contract and then make the decision. I mean, if you're going to say right now, oh, I got to get Deshaun Watson and everything, and I think his cap hit is 35 to 40 million over the next few years,
which will be cheap, by the way, next year. But you'll have to redo it. Yeah, you'll have to redo it.
You kick the can down the proverbial road, as happens often. I mean, that's the thing. Like, they have this space now to do other things. I mean, they're not committed to the quarterback. I mean, that was kind of the same situation when Carson Wentz was on his rookie contract. You look at his second year in 2017, I mean, they added Alshon Jeffrey, they added LeGarrette Blount. The year before, they added Rodney McLeod and Brandon Brooks. They made some moves. I mean, they added guys who were integral parts of the Super Bowl team. And then that second year, Wentz improved enough to the point where he was playing at an MVP type of level. Now, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is going to play at an MVP type of level, but, maybe he improves his completion percentage from 61 to 65. He runs for 1,000 yards. Miles Sanders stays healthy. He runs for 1,000 yards. Devontae Smith takes off. He gets over 1,000 yards receiving. Dallas Goedert's a top tight end. Nick Sirianni raves about Quez Watkins as a number 2 receiver. They add a veteran, maybe like Zach Pascal in the slot, and he has a good year. I mean, all of a sudden, you've got a really good offensive team. I mean, we know the offensive line is going to be one of the best in the NFL. So, I mean, it's all possible that, they use this year to add some pieces to kind of build the team around Hurts, and that makes him better. And then, you make the decision. I think he's still 2023, he's still on his rookie contract as well. So you technically have even another year before you have to pay him. And then, you obviously have enough ammunition at that point to make that kind of decision. I mean, if he bombs and the Eagles stink this year, well, then your answer. You need a quarterback.
Yeah, Martin, let me hold you down a little bit, you and John both, but you first. If there are 3 potential outcomes of Jalen Hurts' upcoming season, and the 3 are, yes, he stays right where he is, which, as John noted, if you got to quantify it, they had him, Pro Football Focus had him the 17th rated quarterback in the NFL out of 32 teams. So he's right at the top of the second half of the NFL. If he stays exactly right there, or he falls off, he goes backwards, he's the 22nd ranked quarterback and he actually produces less, and you could judge him to be a lesser quarterback than he was this year, or he steps up and he jumps into the top half. All right, not top 10, but he's 13 or 14 rather than 17. If going to fall into one of those 3 categories, break them down percentage for me. 100%. Give me the percentage chance he falls into each category. Goes backwards, gets worse, stays exactly the same, actually improves, and nobody's going to bat an eye when you got to give him $30 million on an extension. Give me the percentages of those 3 categories.
Okay. I think 60% he improves. And when I say improves, I'm not like you said, I'm not talking about a top 10 quarterback. I'm talking like the 10 to 15 range, definitely like top half. I say that's 60%. I'd say about 30% that he stays the same, and I'd say about 10% that he gets worse. I mean, the one thing we know about Jalen Hurts is he's going to work his butt off. I mean, there's no dog in him at all. He's not going to say, I want more control of the offense. I'm going to change the plays of the line of scrimmage like, somebody else we all know well. So I don't think any of that is going to be an issue with Jalen Hurts. I mean, people love him because of his work ethic. He'll stay after practice. He'll throw with Devontae Smith. He'll throw with Greg Ward. He'll throw with anybody. He'll throw with me if I want to catch some more passes and stuff. That's the kind of guy he is, and I think they like him for that. And I think that's why they're so high on the possibility that he's going to be a top half quarterback this coming season. And, and if all that plays out, then yeah, I mean, you got to give him that $30 million contract because that's the going rate. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo makes, 27 million, I think. And, people are like, nobody knows if he's coming back to San Francisco or not. I mean, chances are he's not because they have Trey Lance and stuff. But, I mean, would you rather have Jalen Hurts or would you rather have Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, despite Garoppolo's one-loss record and everything like that, I mean, as a quarterback to grow with, I mean, I think you'd much rather have a guy like Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Jimmy's a tough one because he wins games. But, yeah, I'd rather have Jalen Hurts. I'm with you. Martin Frank, follow him on Twitter at mfrank NFL, DelawareOnline.com. You can read them there. Get to the important stuff here. Bones Highland buried the Sixers the other night, Delaware native. And then, there's something big happening with the Lady Blue Hens this weekend. Bigger thing in Delaware. Bones Highlands or the Lady, are they still the Lady Blue Hens? Do we still do that?
No,
or
no.
Is that sort of,
hens.
Yeah. Is that, I'm dating myself. I'm aging myself. Bigger thing in the state of Delaware.
Well, I mean, and then you got the big border war between the Delaware men and Villanova too on Friday in Pittsburgh. So Friday afternoon, you got the Delaware men playing Villanova in Pittsburgh, and then right after that, basically, like at 5:00, the women are playing Maryland in the first round of the women's NCAA tournament. I mean, huge stories. I mean, what if they both come out with upset wins and everything like that?
Blue Hens going to the Final Four.
See, I told he was a true Delawarean. He was hyperbole honest.
A source told me that the Blue Hens have a chance to go to the Final Four. A source told me that.
Yeah, maybe not. But and then you mentioned Bones Highland. I mean, he pretty much beat the Sixers 4 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. Everyone's talking about Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, the big MVP matchup, and Bones stole the show. He had like 600, 700 people there. The firefighters who saved his life were there. It was pretty awesome.
Wow, he had that many people there? Wow. He had 600 people there?
Oh, yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Like kids he grew up with, teachers. I interviewed a couple of teachers who were there who taught him in elementary school, a coach from 6th and 7th grade. Family, there were a lot of people after the game just like cheering them on and stuff like that. It was a pretty cool experience.
You could actually hear it on the broadcast. I watch at home and I'm going, whoa. Was that a Sixer basket or was that a Nugget basket?
Wow.
The cheers were raining down for Bones. All right. One more from me, Martin. Somewhere Jimmy Kempski weeps, and I'll explain what I mean by that. We were chastised, or at least I was kind of needling Howie Roseman because he hasn't been able to finagle a Deshaun Watson meeting just yet. Maybe we should even be more harsh with the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles because he got 0 compensatory picks this year. How can Howie, Mr. Draft himself, Mr. Assets himself, come away with no compensatory picks? And that's what I mean by Jimmy Kempski week, because nobody makes a bigger deal out of Eagles.
I blame Jimmy for this, by the way.
Year long. Ooh, this could add to. This could subtract from. Well, here's what we got this year: a ±0. No compensatory picks for the Philadelphia Eagles. How much do we take Howie out to the woodshed for not being able to land himself a compensatory pick?
Well, the part about getting a compensatory pick is you have to lose a player.
Yes,
good.
You got to lose players as well. People don't get this.
Like, are people like, you look at this year, like, are people like banging down the doors for Steven Nelson or, for, I don't know, Alex Singleton. Well, I guess Alex Singleton wouldn't count, but, somebody count. Like that. I mean, people are going to bang down the door for Rodney McLeod. So, like, even if those guys leave, and the Eagles already signed Hassan Reddick, so they're already at a net gain, so they're probably not going to get one. That's the way it is. If you have money to spend, you can sign free agents.
You mean Derek Barnett's not going to sign for $14 million with some other team?
Well, he might actually. I mean, I wouldn't rule that out with the
I would.
Going out.
No, I think 9 a year. But it's going to be significant. It's going to be somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to take much of a pay cut from $10 million that he made last year. That's for sure. So, I mean, even if Barnett signs or whatever, I mean, you're still at a net gain because you got Hassan Reddick. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to be getting a compensatory pick next year either.
Yeah,
that's on Howie. That's all Howie.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the generator of guys to come in here and then be better when they leave.
See,
so they get those compensatory picks.
I always joke with Jimmy. I go, because nobody knows compensatory picks better than Jimmy, but he has created this maddening. Like, people don't understand how it works, so they're immediately saying,
"No, by the way, I don't think teams in the NFL understand how it works."
They know how it works. So when you're
more difficult algorithm than the one here on YouTube that we have to continue to try and
I'll
drive.
explain it to you really shortly after we Martin's probably like trying to get the hell out of here. Yeah, people, you probably get this too real quick, Martin. Do people immediately contact you if the Eagles lose a player like Derek Barnett? Do they say, will they get a comp pick for that?
Get that? But I mean, you also, like, if you have money to spend and you're signing free agents, I mean, that's a good thing. You want that. I mean, you're not going to get a comp pick for that. Yeah. Like, the Jacksonville Jaguars don't get comp picks because they're always like signing guys. I mean, they have money to burn and everything like that. So, I mean, it's a good situation to have when you're up against the cap and you're trying to cut salary and, you get an extra draft pick and that helps you. But, if you have money to spend, and you want to spend it. So you're not going to get a comp pick.
Yeah.
More is made of it than needs to be. I was trying to poke a little fun in case no one was picking up on what I was attempting to do there. I never poke fun at Martin Frank. John McMullen does.
Yeah.
Call him
I got a apologize.
Delawarean. I would not do that to you, Martin.
That was harsh.
Never, buddy.
That was harsh.
We always appreciate when you come on. We'll get you back in a couple of weeks. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, Martin. Always a pleasure. Take it easy.
Martin Frank may live in the state of Pennsylvania, but does his work for Delaware. And he is that good and that cool that he can qualify for 2 states. There aren't too many people out there that can do that.
I joke that Martin is number 2 in Delaware, and I always joke to Joe Biden. It goes Joe Biden and Martin Frank.
And you got to give Biden. He keeps going back. You thought maybe he would clip those Delaware roots when he became president. No, he's always going back to Delaware. So, you got to give Biden credit on staying connected to the first state well. But I think it's actually a debate as to whether Martin Frank or Joe Biden is the.
I take Martin first. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, so would I. Sorry
Unless
about that.
I can get a free Amtrak pass. I don't know if that's involved, but
yeah. 2 non-Delawareans, Jody McDonald and John McMullen. Although I love Delaware Park, maybe I'll go down this afternoon. It's just simulcasting, no live racing, so never mind. We've still got another hour live of Birds 365 coming your way with another Delawarean. Yes, our buddy D Gunn is going to jump aboard. Keep it here on Birds 365.